of Archer and Armstrong, which he co-created with Bob Layden and Jim Shooter, about Archer, a young assassin who finds himself teaming up with the immortal Armstrong he was trained to kill. Thanks to this mix of talent along with some story-driven series, Valiant was soon one of the most successful third-party publishers until Image Comics came about. However, in 1993, Jim Shooter had left the company, and when it set up a work-for-hire policy, Windsor-Smith left as well, as this was the reason for his problems with Marvel. Due to legal issues, he would never work on Archer and Armstrong again, even stating in 2008 he would return to the series when pigs fly to the moon and return safely. Thus, when Valiant was revived a few years ago, along with Archer and Armstrong, Windsor-Smith has had nothing to do with it. Next, Barry Windsor-Smith worked for Malibu Comics on the series Rune, which he co-created with Chris and even did a crossover with Marvel Comics and Conan the Barbarian. However, there would be legal issues over ownership of the character despite Marvel buying Malibu, and as a result, the series has not been reprinted to this day. Windsor-Smith next found himself at Image Comics in the crossover Wildstorm Rising, with him drawing and coloring the first issue of the May 1995 series, along with all 11 covers of the interconnected crossover. He would later claim to regretting doing the series that he didn't understand the motivations of the characters and even tried to change the story to make it better, which upset writer James Robinson. That same year, Barry Windsor-Smith created the Barry Windsor-Smith Storyteller, which featured ongoing features like The Paradox Man, a dark science fiction tale, Young Gods, an homage to Jack Kirby's New Gods, and The Freebooters, a satire about an aging Conan-like character that now runs a tavern. Windsor-Smith would cancel the series after 9 issues, despite a 10th issue being completed, and Fantagraphics would since publish a hardcover editions of collecting Young Gods and The Freebooters. Fantagraphics would also publish Opus Volumes 1 and 2. Originally, Opus was meant to be a bi-monthly or quarterly magazine to publish his unused work, but he nixed the idea when he realized the text would be needed to accompany the art. Barry Windsor-Smith abhors violence, though he specializes in it with his art, and even understands it as a distinguishing part of the human race. However, he hates the industry's over-reliance on its use in storytelling, thus when he uses it in his work, such as in The Paradox Man, it is intentionally depicted to disturb the readers. In the 2000s, Barry Windsor-Smith created UFO POV, an 11-page story for Streetwise in July of 2000, a trade paperback for Two Morrows Publishing, and even returned to Marvel in 2000 and 2001, providing covers for the new X-Men and 5 interior pages for Wolverine number 166, which was a Weapon X tie-in with writer Frank Thierry. Today, Barry Windsor-Smith has published no major work recently, despite numerous projects announced, from a Thing story for Marvel to a Superman story for DC, but nothing has come of them lately. And this is the eccentric but brilliant career of Barry Windsor-Smith. Despite producing as much work as not as much work as other great artists, what he has produced remains remarkable. His run on Conan the Barbarian in the 1970s remains one of the great runs on any fantasy comic book ever, along with helping revive the character, while also contributing to Wolverine's origin and helping form the original Valiant comics. His disagreements with the industry and his own spiritual beliefs has taken him in different directions than most other great artists, but it is still one that has made the comic book medium better for it. Great artists have many different ways to reach their achievements, and Barry Windsor-Smith is no exception. I would like to thank the original sources for this episode, Opus Volume 1 and 2 by Barry Windsor-Smith himself, in which he details his life and spiritual beliefs along with some brilliant reprints of his art. It is mostly on his views of the world, but there's also some nice insight on both his how he thinks, along with his work ethic, and some interesting biographical tidbits. This is highly recommended for Barry Windsor-Smith fans. And now is October 8th, 2020, time for the favorite comic book of the week. Batman, number 100 by James Tynion IV and George Jimenez, which finds Batman and his allies finally trying to take down the Joker after the Joker's War without some consequences along the way. Tynion IV does a good job wrapping up this story arc while also adding up some new plots that will pay off, looks like, for years down the road. As not everything's completely tidied up, let's be honest here. They're never going to really get rid of the Joker, but it does set a neat new path for both Batman and Gotham City and all of his allies. Of course, we have a new interesting vigilante in the Clown Hunter, who also you get some nice revelations about him in this issue. And also, George Jimenez's art is nicely mixed of creepy yet cartoony, which is perfect for any Joker story. Whereas, it's almost like it's kind of fun, but there's a weird edge to it that sets you off. And best of all, I really like how Batman and Harley Quinn's relationship develops in this storyline. As Harley Quinn, she's more or less a hero at this point, since she's thankfully broken up with the Joker, and of course now we have Punchline, who's a new wild card in this group, and she's an interesting character I would like to see more of. But I'm like with a lot of people now, like, after this and with the 3 Jokers concluding next month, it's time to give the Joker a rest for a little while. He's a great villain, but he's had his time. Let Batman explore some new villains and so forth. But this was a great send off for him for now. And very looking forward to where Batman goes from here on in, because there's a lot of great storylines to go after this. And also, I'd like to go ahead and promote my good friends, James and Jessica Moser, on the Fall Horseman YouTube channel. Please check it out on YouTube, called The Fall Horseman. And please like and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and so forth. Great fun movie review series and horror in general about haunts and so forth. And yours truly might be popping up in a video pretty soon. We'll see. As I like to joke, there's a reason why I do a podcast, because I have a face fit for podcasting. Of course, I don't have a voice for it, too. But, oh well, here I am. And with that was the Visionary Life of the great Barry Windsor-Smith. Now, join me again next week, where we're going to be doing a 2-parter on the legendary King Feature Syndicate, arguably one of the greatest comic book strip syndicates of all time. Till then, go out and enjoy yourself a good comic book.